As a healthcare data analyst, imagine the head of physician came to you and say, "Hello, please, I need you to get me a report on the number of patients attended by each doctor. The next one I also want is the revenue by treatments." And you're asked to get this report as soon as possible. Now, at the hospital, what you essentially use is Excel. At this point, two things will come to your mind. Which way do you go about it? It's either you do the all good old days way of using pivot table, or you quickly go and use the new Excel function known as group by. So either way, you are going to be able to get this aggregation needed by the head of physician. And today we are going to look into pivot table. And that is what we will use to resolve this task posed to us by the head of physician. To achieve this, I have with me a data set. Let me expand this. A healthcare data set which has patients, visit dates, name, patient's name, gender, age, diagnosis, treatment, doctor, visits cost, insurance cover, which is like a flag, yes or no, and the payment method. At this point, what we want to pick up is the visit cost, the doctor column, and the treatment. These are the three major columns that we need. And now that is also what you always need to do when you are analyzing data. You want to be sure that the data is complete and correct. And you have the fields that you want to use to perform your analysis. Now, before we start with the pivot table, it's important to understand that, like the name entails, pivot table, it is a table. So the condition to build a table into or a sheet into a pivot table means your data set needs to be in tabular form. That means it needs to have rows and columns. The columns must have headers because that is what the pivot table we use to analyze and aggregate your data. Now, the next thing is that there shouldn't be empty rows and columns in your table. Otherwise, it will kind of break at the point where it sees a break. So what happens is that Excel looks at it. When it builds a pivot table from your table, it is smart enough to pick up all the areas that has data. And now when it moves and it sees an empty row, it thinks that that is the end of the range you're looking for. So I encourage you to ensure that there are no empty rows and there are no empty columns. Now, the next thing it also doesn't need, since you're going to aggregate your data shouldn't come aggregated. So any form of aggregation will need to be removed. So these 3 points, when I mean aggregation, I am talking about things like summing up your number, doing average, minimum, maximum. There shouldn't be anything like that. Completely remove every aggregation and bring in a plain table. Then move it into a pivot table. All right, so those are the preconditions for you to create a pivot table from a table or a range. So let's go in and do this. To achieve this, there are two ways. You could choose to work with range or with table in Excel. The thing with range is it's so easy to quickly click on any part of the range or the sheet where there is data, go to insert, pivot table, and Excel is so smart to recognize all the places where the data is and highlight it. That is what you are seeing here. Okay, so another thing here is it's also asking you if it's going to be on a new sheet or on this sheet. And by rule of thumb, I would say always perform your pivot table on a new sheet. It is cleaner and easy to understand by your final consumer. All right, so but we will go and do the table way. Why am I looking at the table way? So the thing with Excel table is that Excel table is smart. When you update the table, all you need to do is to refresh the pivot table and everything will update automatically. That is the advantage a table has over a range. And that's why we say Excel tables are smart. So to achieve this, all you need to do is Control A and Control T and you have your table dialog pop up here. Another way is to just go to Insert and pick a table as long as you're clicking anywhere around the table. So all I need to do is say, okay, my table has header and I have my table. All right, so let's go ahead and start our analysis. The next thing you want to do is, if you're happy with this design, that is beautiful. Notice because we have a table, we now have a new ribbon, table design. So within table design, you notice up here we have the table name, which I'm going to rename patient's data. All right, I'm happy with that. And notice I named it patient's data with an underscore separating patient and the data. That's because you said do not accept space between two words. Okay, so let's move on. If I like this design, I will move on, but personally, I don't like it. To work on it, all you need to do is to come here, the table style, and you will have different styles. I'll go with this, keep it simple. So I am happy with what I have. Now let's go in. The next thing you want to do is to quickly go and create your pivot table. So there are three ways we can do that. We can come here, summarize with pivot table, and it will give us what we want. You can also go to insert and click on pivot table and get what you want. The other way is to go on recommended pivot table. Now, if you're not sure of what you want to analyze, this recommended pivot table does the job very well and so easily. All right, so but that's not the part we want to go. All I need to do is to go to pivot table, and I want it on a new sheet. So I am happy, and it has created an entire blank sheet for my pivot table. So let's go in and see what is here. Now on this side, the right side of it, you have the pivot table field. In this pivot table field, you can see the layout here. It's more like a horizontal layout. You can do it the other way around, the one you know already, which is this. The previous one, it's the vertical way, and this is the horizontal landscape. So let us look at this, but I would prefer the other way. So I will come in here and select this. Anyone you want, just pick it up and go with it. So the first thing we want to do is treatment. So pick up treatment, put it in row, and you can see it by the side. And the order is the cost of each treatment. We'll put it in value. Now we have this. This is so fantastic. And you can see the row label there. It's not really descriptive. So all I need to do is, as it is selected, I can click in here and rename it treatment. Now I can't just rename it the same name with the field. It will not work. So I can just rename it patient treatment. All right. So I am happy with that. That works well. Okay. The next one is the sum of visit cost. So I will rename it cost of visits. All right. I'm happy with this. Okay. Beautiful. So notice as soon as I click out, the pivot field disappeared. If I want it back, I just need to click on it because this property is actually attached to the pivot table only. It doesn't attach to the sheets or to the range. It's only attached to the pivot. So let's move on. So by the side here on this pivot field, we have our column name as we had it in our sheet. Excel is so smart to bring all of them as a field and leave them for us here. And now whatever we want to do, all we need to do is to drag and drop. Anyone we don't want, we just remove them. Now, if I want to create a filter, I could create a filter by gender. I would just create this and drop it on filter. So I have my filter gender. Right now, the all is selected. All I need to do, if I want to select by a certain gender, I just need to select this and say okay, and it has filtered. If I don't want female, I can go by male and that filters. If I want to select multiple, which doesn't make sense in this case, this is because we only have two. So if I select, it's just the same thing as selecting all. So let's now move on. But when I am analyzing data, I wouldn't be in a hurry to use filter. Instead, I will go and use slicer. So I will just come to this gender, right click and add slicer. And notice that the slicers are much more smarter because I can actually move them around. So, and I can adjust them the way I want. All I need to do is to select and it adjust so easily and so nice. If I want to be able to select multiple one, I just need to click here and I'm able to select multiple fields. So I want to click here and just select only one. All right. So, and if I want to clear my selection, I just come up here and clear my selection and everything is selected. Okay. So even on this slicer, as soon as we have slicer selected, you notice there is a slicer ribbon up there, and that will help you to easily pick up the design you want. So if I want this, I will just pick this, but I don't like it. I think I prefer this. So you see how nice it is. Now, another thing about slicer is this is in rows. So I could just come in here. I said I want to, I can say I want two columns, and that gives us two columns, and which is so nice, giving you that flexibility to arrange your things the way you want. It is that beautiful and it is that smart. So that way I don't need this anymore. So I will take away the filter, the gender from the filter by dragging and dragging it out of there. So, and that is how slicers work. And there are loads of other things you can do in Slicer. Just play around with it and you will be so happy that you use it. It also helps a lot when you're building out your dashboard in Excel. All right, so let's go back and click here. Now with this, what we have is the sum of this aggregation. And to know that we have sum, all we need to do is to come down to this value, click on it and go to value field settings and bring it out. You notice this is sum. Now with this, we can also pick up average. We can pick up count, maximum, minimum, product, and some other aggregation here. Now, in case I want to do a count of treatments, all I know to do is to just go in there and pick up something like the patient ID and bring it to value. And you notice there, because patient ID is a categorical field, it's giving me a count. That's what I noticed here. So let's find out what it gave us by default. All right, so it gave us a count. So I am happy with the count. And if I do the filter by male, everything adjusts. If I go by female, everything adjusts. If I want to clear the filter and I go there. So everything is working really well. So within here, you can also do some amazing things. All right, so let's change this count of patients. Let's name it counts of patients or number of patients. I think that will work for me. All right, so I'm happy with that. Let's go and get some more formatting. I can decide to, sort my data by cost of visit. All I need to do is to right click in that field and go to sort. So I want to sort from the largest to the smallest so that we'll easily know the services that gave us the most revenue. And we can see it easily. That was surgery, which gave us the most revenue. And the other things I could easily do here, if I want to get things like the average revenue and some other revenue and some other aggregation or method of measurement, I will easily get that. So let's even go and do that. I can just go drag and drop this. It's still giving us the same thing, but all I need to do is to quickly go in here and move on, get my average, and I am happy. So it has named it average. All I need to do is to pick here average visit cost or average cost of visit. I will go with the abbreviation average cost of visit. Good. So that works. In case I'm not really happy with that, I could actually right click here and come to number formatting, not cell formatting. Then I will be able to come here. Since we're talking about currency, I will just easily go in here and I'm dealing with dollars and I will come in with 2 decimal places and make it look neater. You see, that makes more sense. I can also come here the same way we are dealing with currency. So number formatting and currency. Yes, I am happy. All right. So you can also choose the accounting. That depends on your preference. All right. And also depends heavily on what the business wants, not just what you want. All right. So let's go on. Now, I have been able to do some formatting here. If I want to start all over, if I want to get a new pivot, all I just need to do is to copy everything here and then come in here and paste. All right. So from this point, all I want to do is to drag this treatment out of here. We don't want treatment. What we want now is the doctors. That was our second request. So now I have this one, but what it asks is the number of cases handled by doctors. So what I need to do is to come in here. We don't want this and we don't want this. So because this field is patient ID, what I want to do is to rename it here as number of treatments. All right, that's renaming. That is doctors, and the other one is the number of treatments, or you can name it cases. And I am happy with this. I will just expand this to this point. All I need to do is to click here and sort it in descending order. With this, descending, not ascending, sorry, from the largest to the smallest. So with this, you begin to see how this is taking shape, and you see that Dr. Smith performed the most treatment. And if you want to know further the way this treatment is distributed among gender, all I need to do is to quickly come to gender and drag it and drop it on column, and then you will see it. This is male, this is female, and that is male. You see, and you notice with this, Dr. Smith treated 20 females and 10 male, and that is how simple it is. All right, so let's go in and do a lot more calculation, a lot more design here. While I clicked here, I can go to pivot table analyzer and you will see some other amazing things you can do here. Okay, so to do this, having selected that, let us come in here, and so having selected that, let's do one more step here. So I'm going to pick diagnosis and drop it in row here. Now with this, you notice, you see the number of cases they treated and what they actually treated. And you notice from here is arthritis, we have one in male and nothing in female. And of all of them, you notice that the asthma is the most treated by Dr. Smith. And you can go on and see how this is distributed. Now with this here, you can do a whole lot of things in this pivot table. Okay, so with this, you notice we have this plus here. If you want to disable this plus, you can come here, this button, and disable it, and click it again and enable it. All right, so let's do some other analysis. If I go to design and come here, if I don't want this total, I can come here, grand total, and I will say off rows and column. That will off it on the rows and the column, but I want it to off it on the column, so I'll on it for only rows, and that is what we have here. And we can also do some other things. What if we talk about subtotal? I don't want anything about subtotal, so do not show subtotal. All this will disappear, and look at them, so they have all disappeared. Now to make this look much more better, now with this shape, I'll go to analyzer and remove this button, and that looks better for me. You can see this looks much better, and see, you can do a whole lot of things. The idea behind copying and pasting so I can get a new pivot table is so that the formatting I have here will come in with here. But let's try and perform some slicer and see how it works, whether it's going to also affect this. So slicer, and you see it affected all of them. Now if I don't want it to affect that, let's see what we do. So while this is selected, so we go in here, we go to filter connection, click here, and then you will notice that this is already selected for this. If I deselect it and say okay, if I filter this, it doesn't work. See, it doesn't work. Let me filter out this, select only this or this. It doesn't work. It only works for the first one, it doesn't work for the second one. This is how you connect your slicer to any table. All you need to do is to click on that pivot table, come to pivot table analyzer and filter connections, come in here, select it, and okay. So if I come in here and it is selected, go back, it is all responsive. All right, if I want to add some more, let me reset this. If I want to add some more slicer, I'll come in here and add. So let's say I want to add something like the payment method. I'll just click on payment method, and I have it here. So now you notice I have two slicer. Let me make it consistent. I'll click here to make it consistent. Now watch what happens. I could come here and increase it to 2 columns, and I am happy with this. Let's make it to be the width of that. I'm happy with what I have. I can bring it up, run it a little more. Okay, so you see that is interesting. Okay, so I'm going to read. Good. I'm so happy with this. So what happens here is if I click here and go to analyzer, click here, you notice it is selected. If I do it for this one and come to analyzer, click here, it is not selected. So what it means is if I try to filter by cache, this doesn't change, but this changes. But if I want this to be affected, I just need to click on it, go to connect, and connect it to that slicer, and that will start working. See how interesting. And from this point, you can do a whole lot of things with pivot table. So guys, that is it about this. It is so smart, and this is already long. I am going to stop it here, and you can always try to play with everything around. As soon as you click in here, you find whatever you're looking for here. If you go to the table analyzer, you can choose to hide the field list, or you can enable it. In case your field list disappears, it just come up here and you will be able to have it enabled. Now, so I'm going to stop here because the video is already lengthy. Now I am going to make another video which is going to be advanced pivot table, and we're going to do a whole lot more. But before then, if you're getting value from this video, please consider giving this video a thumbs up for the algorithm. Remember to share it to your friends so that they will enjoy what you're enjoying. And if you're new to this channel, consider consider joining this amazing growing family. It is a wonderful family, and I share in this channel things that you will need in your day-to-day job as a data professional. And today we delve into in-depth analysis of a healthcare data and the things you definitely will see when you're analyzing that healthcare data set. And finally, do not forget to ring the bell icon so you will be the first to know when I post a new video. To my returning subscribers, you are the MVP. Thank you for believing in me. Until I meet you again, keep analyzing.